Hey everyone. Today I want to talk with you about not just focusing on the actual quote unquote dress that Pastor Jamal Bryant's wife was wearing, but also focusing on the roles being played by the person in the dress, Pastor Jamal Bryant's wife, and Pastor Jamal Bryant himself. That's the bigger picture, their roles and their actions in relation to this dress controversy. And this is the dress right here. She's walking in it. If you look where my mouse is pointing in the video, the short video in the upper right corner was showing her wearing the dress, and she looks half naked in the dress. Now, before I play a clip of this video here, Pastor Jamal Bryant defending his wife, I first want to say that I know that she may be doing her job as a wife. You know, obviously she's got him with a smile on his face, and they're obviously, attracted to each other. I'm certain that they are, in love with each other, and that on a physical standpoint that they have, a great marriage. I don't want to, delve a whole lot into that particular business of what's going on, but I just wanted to say that I know that there are some things, that obviously they both are liking about each other to be together at this point. So I'm not going to say that everything that she's doing is incorrect in their marriage per se. I'm not there with them, so I'm not going to say anything negative about what is going on in their marriage. I just want to focus on the role that she is playing and the role that he is playing, and how one should be conducting themselves. I mostly want to focus on her and in this rebuke. So let's listen to Pastor Jamal Bryant defending his wife, because it looks like that there's not much going on underneath to support the dress, to make it look like something that a woman of God would be wearing. And that's the real issue, because she's playing the role of a pastor's wife, and a pastor's wife should be in order as an example of how a woman of God should be. And so that is in question, if she is in order in that way by wearing this type of garment. So let's hear Pastor Jamal Bryant defend his wife, and I'm going to stop it as he says certain comments, and then I'm going to give my take on it. And then I'll give my take on her and close out. Let's listen.
I need to deal with it head on, because the other day the internet went crazy about a dress my wife had on. Now, they didn't say anything about the $4 million that was raised for the United Negro College Fund. They never mentioned that she prayed until heaven came down. They never said anything about this was the largest fundraiser for for HBCUs in the country. But insecure, jealous, petty, small-minded.
Why does it always go to someone being insecure, jealous, and, he said small-minded? Okay, that is not always the case of the reasons why, because he has not spoken to each individual person who does not agree with what she is wearing. Okay, this looks like a dress that somebody would wear. If a woman is going to wear this type of dress, then it should be something that she's wearing in private for her husband, not for everyone to see. Because a person, their mind will be wandering to the direction of the lines on this dress, which is pointing towards her private area in the front. The way that the dress is designed is showcasing her private area in the front and her private area in the back. I'll say it that way to keep it clean. So you can just imagine, is that becoming of a woman of God? So for someone to rebuke his stance or her stance on the reasoning behind it being quote unquote okay for her to wear this, knowing that they are both in positions of leadership, spiritual leadership in a church, they think that they are beyond rebuke. Is that what this is? Rebuking her because I'll let the men rebuke him, but I'm just saying, in talking with the women on this channel, is the fact that she's a pastor's wife, does that make her beyond rebuke? Or just because she has the right type of body to fit into this dress and to look good in this dress, so we should all just be quiet? Otherwise, if we dare say anything against her wearing this dress as a pastor's wife, that we are automatically jealous and small-minded, and that we need to mind our business. Okay, so let's continue to listen to this, because there is a spiritual and a fleshy side to this. Okay, whatever happened to being a Proverbs woman? Would a Proverbs woman come out in public dressed like this while also in a fleshy looking outfit? Because that makes you think about the flesh when you look at any woman wearing this type of dress, not just his wife, but any woman wearing this type of dress. Then your mind would automatically go to the flesh, to a fleshly thought, not to a spiritual one. So a Proverbs woman would not be having this type of dress on. This is a dress that you want when you're looking for some coins. I'll just keep it clean. You're looking for some coins, or you looking for some fleshly attention, to wear this type of dress, not a woman of God and a wife of all people. So let's continue to hear this. So he's trying to bring your mind to focusing on how much money was raised, but that is separate from the spiritual aspect behind her wearing this dress, how it's looking on a spiritual level. That those are two separate things. The amount of money that was raised for the event that she was speaking at when she wore the dress, versus her role as a pastor's wife, and as what should be a woman of God, what that role should be, versus and how she should be conducting herself in that role, versus whatever monies that she helped to raise at the event. Those are two separate things, and they cannot they cannot you cannot say that you're going to overlook the spiritual aspect behind it based on how much money was raised. Okay, so you cannot do that. So let's continue. And some of these people in these churches, they'll support whatever the pastor says. They don't care what he says. If it's one of these big mega churches, or a church where a lot of money is being made and a lot of popularity, and they get to be seen on TV, and they get to come there in their fancy garments and look good and shout, that's all they care about at the end of the day. The pastor could kill somebody and they would still stand by his side. Just remember what happened with that pastor who was bothering those boys, and he eventually got sick and died, Eddie Long. So there were people continuing to stand by his side, regardless of what was done. So a lot of people, they will overlook the actions of some of these pastors or their wives, or whatever the case, when they have these positions of being a pastor, being famous, dressing nice, having fancy cars, fancy house, these fancy outfits. This looks like something that I would expect Nicki Minaj to wear. This is her type of style of dress, this dress that his wife had on. Let's continue.
People got in their feelings and set up a false barometer of holiness based off of a dress. Now you got to help some people, because some people have embraced the full knowledge of ignorance without any assistance for understanding. The dress was not see-through. The dress was flesh color.
Okay, that's in the spirit right there. He said the dress was not see-through, which I'm so glad of that. Because at first, I honestly, I thought it was a see-through dress at first. He says it's not a see-through dress, but it's what? Flesh color. Okay, that goes back to what I was saying. It makes you think about the flesh. And the dress was what? Flesh colored. Okay, so that's a spiritual aspect behind that. Let's continue.
Because you ain't never been nowhere and ain't never been exposed to nothing.
So this is a game that he's playing, making people feel that if they dare say something negative about his wife wearing this dress as a pastor's wife, that the issue is with them because they are small-minded, meaning that they haven't been anywhere, they haven't been exposed to anything to know how the game goes. Basically, let's continue. And you hear these people shouting in the background. These are some of his church members. And by the way, for him to address this in the pulpit, that's inappropriate as well, because he should be talking about the word. He should be the Lord's word should be the focus, not his what his wife has on as a garment. If he felt people should mind their business, then he shouldn't. It's just so much with that. Attention was drawn to her away from their own personal business. That's why people are saying something. They probably were, I'm certain they were minding their own business. But when they see this flesh colored dress, then it makes them focus on what's going on inside her on a spiritual level with her business. Let's continue.
Furthermore, I needed to set the record straight. Y'all don't like this. I need to set the record straight. I bought the dress. And I like it. I don't care whether you like it or not. She ain't mad to y'all. She mad to me.
That makes it even worse. The fact that he brought the dress as a pastor. So, and you hear all this shouting, let's continue.
Now, if you wanted a first lady that looked like Little House on the Prairie and Holly Hobby, you got the wrong church. I wanted a wife I would rush home to, and I wanted to be excited to see. When we walked in there, I said, shake it fast, watch yourself.
Do you hear the ignorance coming out of this man's mouth? Wasn't it mystical that said, shake it fast, but watch yourself? And if you think about the unclean version, he wasn't saying the word fast. He was saying shake something else. So you mean to tell me that a pastor goes out and buys a dress that makes him, obviously he's attracted to his wife, which is a good thing, but that's his wife to be attracted to, not the world, with his wife wearing a flesh-colored dress, making the world think of her in a fleshy way. That's his wife to think of in a fleshy way, in the privacy of their own home. That's where it would be appropriate for her to be shaking it fast, if that's the case. But not for the rest of us to be looking at his wife in a flesh-colored dress, thinking and lusting on her shaking it fast and how that would be. Because don't you think that that's what many of these men are thinking when? Some of the videos out here are also in agreement with him, with Pastor Jamal Bryant, because they want to see all the women dressing in this way who they think, quote unquote, has the body to wear this type of clothing, this type of dress, this type of flesh color dress, by the way. So let's continue listening to this foolishness.
If you don't have nobody that you excited about, trade that booger in and find you somebody that Negroes can talk
He has no shame. He has no shame. So what if somebody has been married, a woman has been married? He's basically promoting adultery and fornication. He's basically promoting that. So if somebody was to listen to him as their pastor in the church, because he's speaking to his congregation, he's not just doing a video privately. He's speaking to his congregation in the pulpit, which is where he should be talking about the word of the Lord in the Bible. But he's made his wife the center. He's made her the idol. So if your focus, your worship is on anything else other than the Lord, that's your idol. So he's basically turned his wife into an idol on a spiritual level, if you really think about this. And that's great that he's glad to see his wife and all that. But again, that's his wife, like he said. So only he should be the one enjoying his wife, whether that's in how, what type of flesh she is showing in her dress, flesh colored dress, I should be saying. That should be only for him to enjoy in the privacy of their house, if he wanted her to dress in that way. Otherwise, when other people are looking at her, they're thinking of her in a fleshy way as well. And is that appropriate? Is it appropriate for the pastor to be saying to get rid of somebody if they're not excited about them? What about the people who are out here married and have kids? Is that the message that the pastor should be telling the congregation? And if that's how he thinks, is that how his wife is thinking as well? Because she's shaking her head up and down with whatever and smiling with whatever he's saying, just like these people in the pulpit, in this congregation. Let's continue.
Let me say to you, I'm a public servant. I've been a public servant my whole life. I don't mind, nor am I offended, nor am I moved if you talk about me. Have at it. But you ain't gonna talk about my wife. Y'all ain't saying nothing to me. The same way you respect me, you gonna have to respect her. And if you don't respect her, find you somewhere else to go. Y'all ain't saying nothing to me, but you ain't gonna be in my face and dishonor my wife. Y'all ain't saying nothing. I need some people that will fight for yours, that will stand for yours, that will demand.
Did you see that person in the congregation? They are standing on their feet in support of what this man is saying. Now, of course, nobody wants to have their wife or husband disrespected. He has put his wife in an icon position, in an unrighteous light, and yet is demanding respect. My goal is not to disrespect his wife, nor him. He's already done that himself. But yet demanding others to respect his wife. And he can't even see that on a spiritual level yet. Pastor Jamal Bryant is a pastor of his congregation, and cannot see on a spiritual level how he has disrespected his own wife and yet is demanding respect from others for his wife. Do you see how backwards that is? Do you not see the danger of this on a spiritual level? This is why you have to be careful of who you follow. And his wife is in a leadership position as well. Somebody who the women in the congregation should be able to look up to and be able to look at her and say, I want to be righteous as well And I want to not necessarily follow behind her in her footsteps because, we all sin, but to at least be able to look at her as an example of somebody who's walking in a righteous path as a Proverbs 31 woman. And so let's just continue.
Respect for yours. I needed to deal with it head on because the other day the internet went crazy about a dress.
Okay, all right. Well, that's the end of the video. He's starting back over with this. But I had, let's see, there was one picture that I had of this dress. Okay. This is, I was trying to get a close-up picture of the dress, but you see in the front, right here, you see that triangle part that's covered? She should feel ashamed and half naked in this dress. It doesn't matter if it's just, if it's, a flesh material up under here. Okay, it's the appearance of evil, the appearance of wickedness, because you see this triangle shape here. What in the world do you think that people are thinking about when they see this triangle patch of material there? What do you think people are thinking of? Besides a slice of pie. What do you think people are thinking of? And I wish they would show the back of the dress. I wish there were some pictures on here showing the back of the dress. But this is just, let me click here. Is it? Okay, here it is right here. And she's got that purse in the front, which makes her look like she feels uncomfortable, like she's trying to cover up that triangle area in the front of the dress. And it matches her actual flesh tone of her own body. So you mean to tell me you expect people to respect your wife looking at her like that? Demanding respect, yet disrespecting your own wife and putting her as an icon in the pulpit of the church by talking about her instead of talking about the word of the Lord. So you have to be careful who you follow behind. Ladies, a lot of people, they go to these churches and they want a fine-looking pastor and a wife to be following. If they don't look fine enough, or if they look too much like Little House on the Prairie, like Pastor Jamal Bryant was saying, they don't want to go to that church. That church is too old-timey. They not up with the times. They're not fashion forward. They don't get them excited. Like he was talking about, he's excited about his wife. They don't feel excited in the church because they want somebody that's fine that they can follow behind, somebody that's fashion forward, somebody who's in a mega church, who's flashing them dollars, who knows how to dress. What does that have to do with your being saved? What does that have to do with your spiritual walk? Well, you know when what happens to the blind when they are following the blind. And I promise that you're not going to like it if you continue to follow behind these types of people. Somebody who is not following in a Proverbs, as a Proverbs woman. Somebody who's not following in line as a daughter of Sarah. Somebody who's not being a spiritual, who's not following a spiritual walk that another woman would look up to and say, you know, I need to get myself in order. Okay. So this dress is inappropriate. It's out of order. It's not spiritual, and it's not an example that a woman of God would be following behind, especially a pastor's wife. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.